This is a breaking news special report. Something unprecedented just unfolded in Washington. If you look at Capitol Hill right now, it's far from ordinary business. It resembles a rebellion. For the first time in his second term, Donald Trump didn't just encounter resistance, he faced outright revolt. It happened less than 3 hours ago. The gavel slammed down in the House of Representatives, its echo reaching all the way to the White House. The vote itself was a landslide numerically, but politically, it was seismic. Congress just intervened to prevent the President of the United States from pursuing an economic conflict with a key ally. The final count, 219 to 211. In today's hyper-partisan environment, securing 219 votes for anything is a fight. Yet tonight, 219 lawmakers agreed that Trump's trade war with Canada was reckless and self-destructive. 6 Republicans broke party lines. These aren't the usual never-Trumpers. On cable news, we're talking about Kevin Kiley of California, Thomas Massie of Kentucky, Don Bacon of Nebraska, Dan Newhouse of Washington, Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania, and Jeff Hurt of Colorado. These are Republicans representing deep red and swing districts. They analyzed polling at home, looked at rising gas prices and lumber costs, and concluded it was safer to defy Trump than to bankrupt their constituents. Trump tried to prevent this. He used his most potent weapon as hold over the party. Earlier today, as the vote unfolded on the floor, he posted a dire warning on Truth Social. Any Republican in the House or Senate voting against tariffs will face severe consequences at election time. He framed tariffs as a sacred party duty, but the message fell on deaf ears. The system is fatigued. Donors are exhausted. And today, the House showed that it too has had enough. Trump thought he had leverage. He attempted to corner Canada. For months, he invoked Section 232, the National Security Clause, to dictate trade as he pleased. If he woke up disliking a country, sanctions followed. He repeatedly threatened Canada with a 25% blanket tariff, escalating to a potential 100% tariff if Ottawa engaged with Beijing. He assumed Canada would buckle, that the mere hint of tariffs would send officials rushing to Mar-a-Lago. But Mark Carney didn't flinch. He didn't scream or fire off tweets. He methodically dismantled Trump's strategy from within. To understand why Carney is winning, you need to know his background. He is a conventional politician. He is a central banker, former head of the Bank of Canada and the Bank of England. He manages risk and systemic stability, understanding the global economy's inner workings better than nearly anyone alive. When Trump rages, Carney watches the bond market. Carney's approach differs entirely from the usual playbook. Most world leaders either tried to appease Trump or counter him with insults. Carney does neither. He leverages influence. Reports indicate that for the past 72 hours, the Canadian Prime Minister's office has been contacting every major governor and member of Congress in the U.S. They didn't threaten, they presented the numbers, showing what would happen to Ohio, Michigan, and Pennsylvania if the border closed. American politicians panicked, recognizing Trump was steering the economy toward disaster. So they intervened. Here's where it deepens. This was not just a political setback for Trump, it was an ideological one. Carney grasped a simple truth. The U.S. needs Canada as much as Canada needs the U.S., perhaps more in some sectors. He didn't fight with ego or theatrics. He focused on systems. Photos from Ottawa's war room show Carney seated with trade ministers, the table covered not with Canadian maps, but with U.S. congressional districts. They weren't planning defense, they were targeting American voters, pinpointing districts that would suffer most in a trade war, particularly those critical for Trump in the midterms. They ensured these representatives understood what was coming. This wasn't diplomacy, it was strategic political warfare. And it worked. Don Bacon, the GOP representative from Nebraska, captured it best before the vote. As an old conservative, I know tariffs attack American consumers. We cannot and should not outsource our responsibility. He added that tariffs harm the economy, imposing a tax on consumers, manufacturers, and farmers alike. That is not of Trump, but of reality. Cameras caught Carney leaving a meeting yesterday. Asked if he feared Trump's wrath, he continued walking, adjusting his glasses. Recalling a tense recent call with the president, it was clear he wasn't retreating. Carney told Trump he stood by his statements at Davos. He outlined Canada's plan to finalize a dozen new trade deals across 4 continents within 6 months, effectively diversifying away from reliance on the U.S. He reportedly emphasized that the math favors Canada, daring the president to check it. That is calculated confidence, a man knowing he holds the winning hand. Why now? Why is Donald Trump, who reshaped the Republican Party in his image, suddenly unable to marshal votes in his own Congress? Because he is losing narrative control. Trump's longtime strength was unpredictability, the madman theory. If everyone perceives you as wild enough to burn the house down, they'll concede just to preserve stability. It worked with Mexico, and partially with NATO, but not with Canada, and certainly not with Mark Carney. Here's Trump's trap. He escalates threats, tariffs, border closures, tearing up USMCA. Normally, the other side panics, concedes slightly, and Trump claims victory. This time, the response was silence then action. When Trump threatened a 100% tariff, Carney didn't plead. He finalized a deal with China allowing 49,000 Chinese electric vehicles into Canada annually, while Beijing agreed to cut tariffs on Canadian canola and seafood. He made it personal for U.S. senators in farm states. Trump doubled down on Truth Social, claiming Canada exploited the U.S., calling them among the worst to deal with. He sought to rally his base, but inflation worries and job insecurity have tempered enthusiasm. Threatening a trade war with Canada, top buyer of U.S. goods after China, Japan, and the U.K. combined doesn't signal strength. Voters see risk, higher grocery bills, higher fuel prices. Today's vote protected your wallet. Had tariffs remained, costs would have surged. Lumber up 20%, fuel prices higher, grocery bills rising. Canada supplies the largest portion of U.S. energy. Interfering with that flow comes at a direct cost. Beyond costs, this marks a shift in global leadership. For 7 decades, the U.S. has led as the indispensable nation. But when the president acts as a bully and Congress intervenes, cracks in authority appear. The world may trust American markets, but confidence in the White House wavers. Canada just demonstrated that defiance against the U.S. can succeed, a dangerous precedent for Europe and others. Trump sought to project strength. Instead, he revealed limits. The U.S. remains powerful, but it is no longer the sole voice at the table. Mark Carney seized the microphone. The fight isn't over. Today's vote, while historic, is mostly symbolic. The resolution must still pass the Senate, then reach President Trump, who will likely veto. This was a warning shot, not a knockout. Yet symbolism matters. It proves votes exist, that Republicans can defect. Trump is enraged, flooding social media with attacks, calling for primaries, threatening to cut funding in opposing districts. A wounded political animal is dangerous. Carney knows this. Canada's military remains alert. Trade war rooms in Ottawa remain vigilant. The first wave has passed, but the storm continues. Prepare for volatility. Trump could implement extreme border vetting, slow truck inspections, or otherwise disrupt trade without breaching today's vote. The world shifted today not with explosions, but with a simple vote. Congress drew a line, choosing economic stability over political loyalty. Mark Carney proved that winning doesn't require being the largest superpower, just the smartest. Trump is down, but far from out. The coming weeks will test the American system as never before. We want your perspective. Did Congress act rightly to protect the economy, or betray the president? Is Carney defending Canada, or daring Trump to escalate further? Share your thoughts in the comments. This discussion is just beginning. If you want updates on tomorrow's border developments, stay tuned. Headlines move too slowly to capture this. Hit the bell icon and subscribe for daily updates.